There's a question that comes to my mind every now and then. That is everything happening in this world already determined, or is it happening because of our will and action? There are things happening around me which keep pushing me to ask this question again and again. So I kind of tried to find the answer to this question. And while doing so, I came across this concept of free will and determinism. Now some of you may not be familiar with this, so let me introduce you to this concept. Well, there are people who can explain better than me, like Hank Green on Crash Course Philosophy. I have mentioned the link in the description in case you want to dig deeper. But for introduction, free will means we are free to do or want anything we want to, and we are doing it consciously and are fully responsible for our actions. We are not in control of anything, and our choices and decisions are truly ours. On the other hand, determinism says that everything we do is already determined, and whatever we do it because of a causal chain of events that have occurred in past. And every event or action or choice or decision taken by us is only an effect of those events. We don't have any control over what we do or what we want, even though it feels like we have. Basically, every effect has a cause and we can't do anything freely. In short, we are mere puppets. Now these are two totally opposite concepts, and none of them seem to answer my question. The debate between free will and determinism is a long and everlasting debate in philosophy and science, persevering for a very long time and still is even today. Free will believers argue that there is a sense of freedom in everything we do, and there seems no kind of bounds in choosing anything to do or not to. The choice of whether to do something or not is ultimately in our control. Like if you choose to throw your phone out of the window, you surely can, no one's stopping you. That's another matter that you won't be able to watch this video, but still that means you are free and your will is truly yours. And even if you don't throw it, that still means you are free because the decision is totally under your control. They say that by choosing to do something, we start a whole new causal chain, while determinists jump in the argument by saying that the causal chain they are talking about has already started way back due to some other causes, and their idea of choosing to do anything is only an effect of those prior causes. By the way, why do you care? Of course, why would you? Why would you care if your wish to pee is predetermined or a free will? You pee because you feel like it, but there is a chain of events occurred earlier that have led you to wish to pee. We punish people for their crimes as we held them accountable for whatever they choose to do, assuming that the actions they take them consciously. Aren't they determined to do so? They are also led by the events that have occurred in their past. Then they should not be responsible for their crimes, as the idea of doing a crime is generated in the brain due to some activities triggered in it which are not in their control. We can't control what happens in our brain. So how can someone be punished for something that is not in their control? I'm not trying to develop any kind of sympathy in you for criminals, and neither am I saying that they should not be punished. We don't give much thought to these things and take them for granted. I'm just trying to reflect upon these things. Free will believers may argue that the decision whether to murder someone or not is taken by the same brain which decides whether to pee or not, except the circumstances are different. So he's free, and his will to do anything is also free and his own. So he should be as responsible for murdering someone as he is for peeing. While determinists might say that his decision to murder someone wasn't in his control, as the temperament to kill someone doesn't come instantaneously but is developed over time. It depends on his surrounding, what type of company he is in, what type of events that have occurred in his past, and also the way he lives. And all of that depends on where the person is born. Now no one has control over where they are born, so indirectly he doesn't have any control over the decision of murdering. So he should not be punished, but he sure has control over the decision of peeing. How is that determined? Now based on how much control someone has over a decision, another idea of compatibilism came into picture, which is somewhat a midway between free will and determinism. Compatibilism says that the amount of control someone has over a decision determines how much responsible they are for that decision. Like someone has a full control over the decision of peeing, but not that much over the decision to murder someone, because there must have been several causes that have led him to murder someone. So one can be fully responsible for peeing, but not for the decision to murder someone. Of course, compatibilism takes morality into account because one is bound by his moral instincts while making a decision, and his moral instincts might stop him to do something which he considers morally wrong, and if he still does it, he is responsible for it.
Gonna be sick.
Our choices and decisions are very much dependent on our physical world and physical reality, and the physical reality is something that is not in our control. We cannot control where and in what type of conditions we are born and what type of physical surrounding we live in. That again makes things deterministic, or at least uncontrollable. So generally these type of arguments are made in the debate between free will and determinism. And determinism kind of seems to win the argument. But most of these arguments are philosophical, as we saw throughout the discussion, and everything we discussed was based on philosophy. These arguments somewhat underestimate or ignore the scientific part associated with it, and that is a very big reason behind it. That is, the underlying science governing these things is simply missing. We can't really tell why a tornado occurs only at a particular place, or why a child is born in the worst conditions one can ever imagine, and sometimes even dies of malnutrition. What determines if someone would get cancer or not? Why do accidents occur? Why do we have the kind of thoughts we have? Of course, we can trace the immediate causes of these events, but we cannot answer the ultimate why. These questions are part of the same question we asked earlier, that is, what determines everything? We saw that the question still remains unanswered, and this free will and determinism concept doesn't really help much. So we'll try to find out the answers to some of these questions by considering the scientific part in the next video. It will be kind of second part of this discussion, so please don't miss if you are curious about these questions. Subscribe to this channel so you get notified when the next video comes. Thanks for watching. If you really got some value from this video, please like it and also share it with your friends so that they can also watch this video. See you next time.